Have you ever noticed how some people seem to speak English almost effortlessly, as if the words just appear in their mind without hesitation? They don't stop to translate from their native language. They don't stumble on every sentence, and they don't panic when a conversation takes a turn. Instead, they flow. For many learners, this ability feels almost magical. But here's the truth: thinking in English isn't a talent you're born with. It's a skill you build. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to develop that skill until English becomes not just something you study, but something you live. Now, let's start with a simple but powerful idea. Translation is like training wheels on a bicycle. When you're learning to ride, those wheels keep you from falling. But if you never take them off, you'll never feel the freedom of truly riding on your own. The same happens with English. Translating every sentence from your native language might help at first, but it will hold you back from fluency in the long run. To think in English, we need to remove those training wheels. Imagine this: you wake up tomorrow morning, and the very first thought in your head is in English. Maybe something simple like, "I feel tired," or "What should I eat for breakfast?" That single thought, as basic as it sounds, is the seed of fluency. From that moment forward, every thought you consciously choose to frame in English is like watering that seed. And day by day, the seed grows into a habit, and the habit becomes natural thinking. But here's the challenge. Most learners don't know how to make the leap. They say, "I understand English when I read it. I can even write it, but in my mind I always go back to my native language." If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not broken. You just need strategies to shift your brain from translation mode to English mode. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you today. The first strategy is narrating your life in English. Think of yourself as the main character in a story, and the language of that story is English. When you brush your teeth, instead of letting your mind wander, describe it. "I'm brushing my teeth." When you pour coffee, "I'm making coffee. It smells good." These aren't just random sentences. They are direct signals to your brain that English is the default language of your daily life. At first, this will feel strange. You might even laugh at yourself. But here's where contrast comes in. Imagine the alternative. If you stay in translation mode, every simple activity becomes a delay. You want to say, "I'm making coffee." But your brain runs through your native language first, then scrambles for the English. By the time you've figured it out, the moment is gone. That hesitation creates self-doubt. Narrating in English, even in your head, removes that barrier. Now let's make this more powerful. As you go through your day, add detail. Don't just think, "I'm walking." Expand it. "I'm walking down the street. The sky is blue. The air feels cool." Suddenly, your thoughts aren't just practice. They're becoming little stories, and stories are sticky. You'll remember them, replay them, and slowly, your brain will attach English words directly to the world around you without needing to translate. Here's another technique: use your senses. Describe what you see. Hear, smell, taste, and feel. If you're eating lunch, don't just think, "This is good." Go deeper. "This pizza is hot. The cheese is melting. The crust is crispy." Each description forces your brain to use English in a richer way. You're not only building vocabulary, you're linking words to real experiences. And that connection is what makes the words stick. But what about emotions? This is where many learners struggle because emotions are complex and deeply tied to their native language. Yet, if you can learn to express your feelings in English, you cross a major threshold. Instead of thinking, "I'm nervous about my exam," in your native tongue, switch to English. "I feel nervous about the exam." Or if something good happens, "I'm so excited today." At first, this may feel forced, but soon your emotions will naturally flow in English, and when that happens, you'll notice conversations becoming smoother, because you're already used to expressing yourself internally. Now let's talk about one of the most effective tools for building this habit: inner conversations. Imagine you're talking to yourself in English. You might think, "What should I do today?" And then answer, "I should study English for an hour." Or, "Maybe I'll watch a movie in English." This may sound silly, but it's incredibly effective. Why? Because conversations are the heart of language. By simulating dialogue in your mind, you prepare yourself for real interactions. To make this even more engaging, create a character in your mind. Give them a name, let's say Emily or David. Pretend they're with you all day, and the only way to communicate with them is in English. If you're about to think in your native language, stop yourself. Wet. Emily doesn't understand that. I need to say it in English. This playful trick keeps you accountable and turns practice into a game. Here's where we introduce contrast again. Without this kind of practice, you'll wait for rare opportunities to speak with real people, and progress will be painfully slow. With inner conversations, you practice anytime, anywhere. You train your brain to be ready before you need it. Let's not forget about visualization. Picture yourself in an English-speaking environment: London, New York, Sydney, wherever inspires you. Imagine walking into a cafe, looking at the menu, ordering, "Can I have a cappuccino, please?" Then imagine the barista asking, "Would you like sugar with that?" And you reply, "No, thank you." These scenarios prepare your mind for real life by rehearsing in advance. And here's the beauty of visualization: it bypasses translation. When you imagine yourself in that cafe, you're not thinking in your native language. You're living the situation in English. Your brain starts connecting English words directly to experiences, not translations. Another powerful method is to set micro-challenges. For example, today decide, "Every time I open the fridge, I'll think in English." So you open the fridge and think, "What do I want to eat? Maybe I'll make a sandwich." Tomorrow, pick a different challenge. "Every time I take the stairs, I'll count in English." These small, playful commitments add up. Each one is a tiny workout for your brain. Now, let's address a common fear: mistakes. Many learners hesitate because they're afraid of getting it wrong. But mistakes aren't failures, they're signals. If you think, "I did a mistake," and then catch yourself, I made a mistake," that correction is gold. Your brain learns not by avoiding mistakes, but by making and fixing them. Each error is a stepping stone toward fluency. And finally, let's add one more layer: reflection. At the end of each day, replay it in English. Think, today I woke up early. I had a busy morning. I felt happy when I met my friend. By reviewing your day in English, you're not only practicing grammar and vocabulary, you're training your brain to store memories in English. This is a deep shift. When your memories are in English, you're no longer translating, you're living in the language. So to recap this first part, the key to thinking in English is immersion. Not external immersion in a foreign country, but internal immersion in your own mind. Narrate your life, use your senses, express emotions, hold inner conversations, create imaginary friends, visualize scenarios, set micro challenges, embrace mistakes, and reflect on your day. Each step moves you away from translation and toward natural fluency. And remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. The more you train your mind to think in English, the stronger that habit becomes. Soon, you'll notice something magical. English will stop feeling like a subject you study and start feeling like the language of your thoughts. So now that we've laid the foundation, let's go deeper. Because here's the reality. Thinking in English is not just about swapping out words. It's about reshaping your identity as a speaker. And that shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens when you consistently build habits that rewire how your brain processes language. To really understand this, let's think about children. When a child grows up in an English-speaking environment, they don't study grammar books or translate in their heads. They simply live in English. They hear it, they repeat it, they experiment with it. Their brains form direct connections between English words and real, life experiences. That's exactly the kind of environment you need to create for yourself, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country. Now, how do we do that? The answer is simple. We bring English into every corner of your daily life. The more you expose yourself, the more your brain adapts. Let me show you some practical ways to make this happen. First, use English as your filter for the world. Let's say you're walking down the street. Instead of just noticing things passively, start labeling them in English. A man in a blue jacket. A child eating ice cream. A bus turning the corner. This exercise might sound basic, but it forces your brain to connect what you see directly with English words, bypassing your native language. And here's the next step. Don't stop at labeling. Add action and description. Instead of bus, think, the bus is stopping. Instead of dog, think, the dog is running quickly. The more detail you add, the richer your mental English environment becomes. Now, let's contrast this with what most learners do. They rely on study sessions, 30 minutes of English a day, maybe an hour. But outside of that time, they switch back entirely to their native language. That's like going to the gym once a week and expecting to build muscle. Real growth happens through consistency, through small, frequent exercises. By turning your environment into an English classroom, you train your brain all day long without feeling like you're studying. Next, let's talk about emotional connection. This is where most textbooks fail. They teach vocabulary lists and grammar rules, but they don't connect language to your feelings. Yet emotions are the most powerful memory anchors. When you tie English words to emotions, those words stick. For example, imagine you're feeling nervous before an interview. Instead of thinking, I'm nervous. In your native language, deliberately frame it in English. I feel nervous, but I'm ready. Or when something great happens, don't just smile and think in your native language. Say it in your head in English. This makes me so happy. By doing this, you're not just learning vocabulary. You're teaching your brain that English is the language of your deepest experiences. And here's a contrast to make it clear. If you keep emotions in your native language, English will always feel distant, like a school subject. But if you bring emotions into English, it becomes personal, intimate, a part of who you are. That's when fluency starts to feel real. Let's add another layer: storytelling. Humans are wired for stories. We remember them better than lists of facts, and we engage with them more deeply. So, make storytelling part of your thinking practice. At the end of the day, replay your experiences as a story in English. For instance, this morning I woke up late, so I rushed to get ready. I missed the bus, but then I decided to walk, and I enjoyed the fresh air. When you frame your day as a narrative, you're not only practicing vocabulary, you're learning to structure thoughts naturally in English. And don't just limit yourself to real stories. Create imaginary ones too. Pretend you're planning a trip. Tomorrow I'll fly to Paris. I'll walk along the river, eat croissants, and take pictures. Or invent a funny situation. I met a dragon in the park, and we talked about books. This might sound childish, but it's powerful. Why? Because imagination gives you freedom. There's no pressure to be correct. You're just playing. And through play, your brain experiments, explores, and grows. Now, let's talk about triggers. A trigger is a reminder that automatically sparks English thinking. For example, every time you look in the mirror, say one sentence in English: I look confident today, or I need more sleep. Every time you open the fridge, think, what can I cook? Every time you pick up your phone, think, who should I call? These little triggers turn ordinary actions into practice opportunities. Why does this matter? Because consistency beats intensity. A single 30-minute study session is useful, but 50 tiny moments spread throughout the day train your brain far more effectively. It's the difference between cramming before a test and living the subject daily. Here's another trick: themes of the day. Choose one theme to guide your English thoughts. For example, Monday could be gratitude. Throughout the day, you think, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for good health. Tuesday could be adventure. Today I'll try something new. Today is exciting. Each theme keeps your English fresh and adds emotional variety, which makes it easier to stick with the habit. And here's where contrast comes in again. Without themes, practice can feel repetitive and boring. But with themes, every day feels new, and you cover a wide range of vocabulary without even realizing it. Now, let's tackle a major barrier: fear of mistakes. This fear stops so many learners from speaking or even thinking in English. They worry about grammar, about sounding silly, about getting it wrong. But here's the truth: fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about being comfortable. Think about children again. They make endless mistakes, but they keep talking, keep experimenting. And because they don't fear mistakes, they improve rapidly. So how can you apply this? When you notice a mistake in your thoughts, don't panic. correct it gently. For instance, if you think, I did a mistake, pause and reframe it. Oh, I made a mistake. That correction teaches your brain the right form, and over time, it becomes automatic. Another effective method is prediction. Before something happens, imagine it in English. If you're about to join a meeting, think, I think they'll ask about the new project. If you're going to dinner, think, I hope the food will be delicious. These little predictions train your brain to anticipate conversations in English, so when the real moment arrives, you're prepared. And after the moment has passed, use reflection. Replay the conversation in English. Think, I should have said this instead. Or, next time, I'll answer like that. This habit is powerful because it turns every real life experience into a lesson, even when you're alone. Now let's tie it together with visual immersion. Surround yourself with English, not just in your mind, but in your environment. Change your phone settings to English. Label objects in your house with English names. Watch shows, listen to music, read short articles, all in English. The more you expose yourself, the more natural it feels. And finally, remember this: the ultimate goal of all these techniques isn't just to think in English. It's to live in English. To reach a point where English is not an extra effort, but your default. Where you don't pause to translate, where your emotions, your memories, your plans all come naturally in English. So ask yourself this: what would your life look like if English wasn't just something you practiced, but something you truly thought in? Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that your inner voice speaks English first. That's the future you're building with these habits. By now, you've discovered a wide range of strategies: narrating your life, connecting emotions, creating inner conversations, building triggers, using themes, and practicing reflection. But to bring everything together, we need to go beyond techniques and focus on mindset. Because thinking in English is not only about exercises. It's about how you see yourself as a learner and how you stay motivated on this journey. Let's start with one of the most overlooked aspects: identity. Language is not just words and grammar. It's a reflection of who you are. If you keep telling yourself, I'm not fluent, I'm just learning, I always make mistakes, you're building an identity of limitation. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who lives in English, even before you're perfect, you start acting differently. You practice more, you take risks, you engage with confidence. And the results come faster. So here's a simple but powerful shift. Instead of saying, I'm trying to think in English, say, I think in English. Even if it's not fully true yet, your brain starts to accept it. And with practice, it becomes reality. Now, let's talk about consistency. You don't need marathon study sessions. What you need is daily exposure. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't brush for 2 hours once a week. You brush a little every day, and that habit keeps you healthy. In the same way, a few minutes of English thinking every day will do more for your fluency than hours of cramming once in a while. So ask yourself, what's one small thing you can do daily to make English part of your life? Maybe it's describing your breakfast. Maybe it's reflecting on your day before bed. Maybe it's a 5-minute inner conversation while you walk. Whatever it is, make it small, make it easy, and most importantly, make it consistent. But consistency requires motivation, and motivation often fades. That's why we need variety. Keep your practice fresh by changing the way you think in English. Some days, use themes. Other days, create imaginary stories. On another day, play the English detective game by analyzing signs, ads, or conversations around you. Variety keeps your brain curious, and curiosity is fuel for learning. Here's another technique to stay motivated: future visualization. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, speaking English confidently, holding conversations without hesitation, maybe traveling, studying, or working in an English-speaking environment. Picture how proud you'll feel. That future self is not a fantasy. It's a version of you that's waiting to be built. Each time you choose to think in English, you're stepping closer to that version. And let's not ignore the role of gratitude. At the end of the day, think of 3 things you're grateful for and express them in English. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn. I'm grateful for today's good weather. Gratitude not only builds positivity, but it also strengthens your emotional connection to English. It transforms practice into a moment of reflection and peace, making English part of your emotional world. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: frustration. Every learner faces moments when progress feels slow, when mistakes feel endless, when fluency seems impossible. In those moments, translation sneaks back in, and you may feel like you're failing. But here's the truth: frustration is part of the process. It means you're stretching, growing, pushing past your comfort zone. So instead of resisting frustration, embrace it. Say to yourself, "This struggle is proof that I'm improving." When you accept frustration as normal, you remove its power to discourage you. And let's bring in contrast framing once more. Picture 2 learners. The first one practices once in a while, always translating, always afraid of mistakes. A year later, they're still stuck at the same level. The second learner practices daily, thinks in English during small moments, embraces mistakes, and enjoys the process. A year later, they're confident, fluent, and proud. Which learner do you want to be? The answer is obvious. Now, to make your practice more dynamic, let's explore imaginative scenarios. Pretend you're being interviewed on TV. Ask yourself questions like, "What's your biggest dream?" And answer in English. Pretend you're giving advice to a younger version of yourself. Don't give up. Keep practicing. Pretend you're explaining your favorite hobby to someone who doesn't know it. These scenarios prepare you for real conversations by simulating them in your head. Another advanced technique is to create a mental dictionary. Instead of thinking of a translation when you see an object, imagine the object directly connected to the English word. See an apple. Don't think of it in your native language. Just imagine the apple, its color, its taste, and connect it to the word apple. Do this with everyday objects: chair, window, sky, phone. This rewires your brain to skip translation altogether. And when you want to challenge yourself, try switching tenses in your thoughts. If you're making coffee, think, "I'm making coffee." Then switch, "I made coffee yesterday." Then, "I'll make coffee tomorrow." By playing with time, you practice grammar naturally without textbooks. Here's one more tool: pretend conversations with role models. Imagine talking with your favorite author, a famous speaker, or even a mentor you admire. Ask them questions, share your thoughts, and imagine their responses, all in English. This technique not only improves fluency, but also inspires you, because you're connecting English with people who motivate you. At this stage, you may wonder, but will all this really work? Can I truly start thinking in English? The answer is yes, but only if you practice consistently. Remember, fluency is not a single leap, it's a series of small steps. Each thought in English is one step forward. Each correction, each reflection, each playful exercise brings you closer. And here's the most important part. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start today. Start now. Even if your sentences are simple, even if you only think in English for 5 minutes, it matters. Because fluency isn't built on perfect practice. It's built on practice, period. So, as we close this journey, let me ask you to imagine one final picture. Picture yourself at the end of today, lying in bed, replaying your day in English. You think, I woke up early. I worked hard. I felt proud of myself. You smile because you realize this is no longer practice. This is your life, and English is part of it. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you'll do it again. You'll brush your teeth, make your breakfast, walk outside, and all the while, your inner voice will speak in English. That voice will grow stronger, more natural, more confident, until one day you won't even notice the switch. You'll simply be living in English. That's the transformation waiting for you. No more translating. No more hesitation. Just fluent, natural thoughts in English. Your thoughts, your voice, your language. So, if you're ready to take this journey, remember, it's not about studying harder. It's about living smarter. Let English be your companion in every moment, from the smallest routine to the biggest dream. And soon, you'll discover that the language you once studied has become the language you truly think in.